When the men of Israel were afraid to fight, God chose a woman to lead them, not a queen, not a warrior, not someone trained for battle, a prophet, a judge, a woman named Deborah. In a time of oppression, when fear ruled the land, one voice rose above the silence, and what happened next shattered expectations forever. This is the story of Deborah, the woman who led a nation into war. The very first female judge in the Bible. Israel was not strong, not united, not faithful, not courageous. After the death of Joshua, the people fell into cycles, disobedience, oppression, crying out, rescue, repeat. They would live nonchalantly, worship other gods, and when they got into trouble, they'd call on God and He'd rescue them. This was an endless cycle, and now once again they were suffering. This time around, the oppressor was a Canaanite king named Jabin. But the real terror of Israel was not Jabin. It was his commander, a terrifying man named Sisera. Sisera had 900 iron chariots. In ancient warfare, iron chariots were unstoppable. They crushed infantry. They dominated open land, and they inspired fear before battle even began. For 20 years, Israel was oppressed, 20 years of fear, 20 years of silence, 20 years of waiting. Until Deborah. Deborah was not hidden. She was known. She sat under what became known as the palm of Deborah. People came to her for judgment. She was a prophetess, a woman who heard from God. In a male-dominated society, Deborah stood in authority, not because she demanded it, but because God appointed her. She was wise, respected, spiritually discerning. And one day, God gave her a word, call Barak. Barak was a military leader, strong, capable. But when Deborah summoned him, she delivered a bold message. The Lord commands you, gather 10,000 men and go to Mount Tabor. Sisera will be delivered into your hands. This was not a suggestion. It was a command from God. But Barak hesitated. He looked at Deborah and said something revealing. If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't. This was fear. And even warriors feel it. Deborah agreed, but she spoke a prophecy. The honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. Barak agreed, but the story had just taken an unexpected turn. 10,000 men marched against 900 iron chariots. It looked impossible, but this was not a battle of iron. It was a battle of obedience. When the moment came, Deborah gave the command, up, for this is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. And something miraculous happened. The skies opened. Rain poured down. The battlefield became mud. The iron chariots, which were once unstoppable, became useless. They became stuck in the mud. They were immobilized and defeated. Sisera's army panicked. But Israel advanced, and Sisera, the might and scary warrior, fled on foot. But remember the prophecy that Deborah told. He would fall by the hand of a woman. Sisera ran. He was exhausted and desperate. Then he came to the tent of a woman named Jael. Jael welcomed him in. She gave him milk and covered him with a blanket. She even spoke gently and was a warm host. He felt safe and let his guard down. He even fell asleep. But Jael knew something. She knew what God had spoken. She took a tent peg and plunged it into his skull, and in one shocking moment, Sisera's story ended. Meanwhile, Barak was chasing after Sisera, and when Barak arrived, Jael said, "Come, and I will show you the man you seek." The prophecy was fulfilled, not by a soldier, but by a woman. After the battle, Deborah sang. Her song in Judges 5 is one of the oldest poems in Scripture. She praised those who volunteered. She rebuked tribes who stayed behind. She celebrated courage. And she declared, "Let all your enemies perish, O Lord." And the land had peace for 40 years. 40 years, because one woman rose. Here are some powerful lessons from Deborah's story. 1. God uses who he chooses. Deborah did not fit cultural expectations. But God is not limited by human tradition. When God calls you, he equips you. 2. Courage is contagious. Barak hesitated, but Deborah's boldness strengthened him. Sometimes your faith gives someone else courage. 3. Obedience unlocks victory. The battle turned because Israel obeyed, not because they were stronger. Victory follows obedience. 3. Don't miss your moment. Some tribes refuse to fight. They miss the honor. When God opens a door, step forward. 5. Leadership is about influence, not title. Deborah led with wisdom, not ego. True leadership lifts others. In a time when fear ruled, a woman rose, not with a sword, but with a word from God. Deborah reminds us, you don't need a crown to lead. You don't need a title to influence. You don't need permission to obey God. When others hesitate, be the one who rises. Because sometimes the bravest voice in the room changes history.